What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. If you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll never be able to fly. Yeah, that's right. I actually talked to the Avengers, and they told me that if you press the like button, Tony Stark himself is going to come on down and give you guys an Iron Man helmet. So, I would press the like button. Please do. It really does help out the channel a lot. I ain't even gonna lie. Anyways, guys, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, today I have a story of nice guy rejection that doesn't really end that well, okay? It ends up with the neckbeard basically stalking somebody and, like, threatening them because they wouldn't date him, you know? They were just such a nice guy that they thought that holding somebody hostage to date them was the right way to do it, which is a terrible way to get a girlfriend, okay? Like, trust me, I've done lots of terrible things to get girlfriends, but kidnapping is up there as the worst. They really don't like being kidnapped. That goes for anyone, really. If you're a girl and you want a boyfriend, kidnapping might be the least efficient way to do it. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about, and it should be an entertaining video, so be sure to press the like button, buckle your seatbelt, get ready for the wild ride, and let's get into it. So a little bit ago, I was hanging out with my friend and his girlfriend, and we were talking about r/nice guys, which is this subreddit where it's a bunch of neckbeards that are just like, think that they're owed things by women because they're just nice, and we were all laughing about it, talking about how cringe it is, and she tells me and her boyfriend that she had a crazy guy that she had to deal with in college that basically stalked her, and that's why she moved to our city, because she needed to switch schools to get away from him. And we're like, wait, hold on, what? Like, this is an actual thing that actually happens? Because I always felt like most r/nice guy posts were just kind of a meme, like it was somebody on a troll account being a beta. No, it's a real thing. And she proceeds to tell us this crazy story, and I was like, hey, I tell stories on the internet, is it okay if I tell it? And she was like, yeah, no problem, absolutely, go for it. So what had happened is this girl obviously had classes, because that's when you do it here at college, you know. You might not go to them every day, but class is a big, important part of college. That's why most people are there. Like, a majority of people actually enjoy college, and their purpose for being there is to learn things, you know. They enjoy the process. The only thing is, you don't really get to pick your classmates, and every now and then there's going to be somebody that's a little bit creepy. So on her first day of class, she walked in, and there was this kid that basically was dressed like a paramilitary operator, all right? Like, this guy was definitely 18, not in the military, and was dressed as if, you know, at any point World War III was about to kick off. He had a survival backpack on him that he would flex the fact that he constantly had 3 days worth of food just in case an emergency broke out while they were at school, which is a really weird thing to carry around, bro. Like, yeah, I have an emergency pack in this college classroom just in case nuclear war breaks out, we can run into the forest together. And he was constantly telling everybody that he was an alpha male and dangerous, and was on the CIA watch list for being too dangerous for the government to control, which is a very cringe way of saying I watch way too many movies and somehow think that I'm James Bond. He actually thought that the FBI was terrified of him because he had played enough Splinter Cell to learn how to infiltrate them. Like, it was just a weird scenario. So obviously there's this weird guy, and she doesn't really talk to him very much. There's no reason for them to interact. It's not like there's this fantastic place where people are, you know, just hanging out all the time. They weren't really hanging out, but they just had a class together, so she kind of had to interact with him. And while she would actively avoid him as much as humanly possible, there was definitely one time where they were forced to interact, and from there it was all downhill. So obviously there is a situation called group projects. I don't know why teachers like them so much, because group projects are actually the worst. There's always one person that decides that group projects are just lame and they're not going to do any work. One person who's a control freak that does absolutely everything. And it's just, group projects are never fun. I don't know why teachers do them so much, because the truth is group projects suck. But regardless, she's assigned in a group with the dangerous military kid. The kid who's like on the FBI watch list. They're looking out for him at any given time, because everybody knows that people in the FBI are terrified of kids that carry survival packs around their college just in case nuclear war breaks out, all right? Like, James Bond who? Okay, we have Ned Flanders over here, who's an absolute savage carrying around his military survival pack around his college, you know, area while hitting on girls. So she gets into a group with him, and she's like, oh, okay, this is probably not going to be an extremely fun group project, which is probably the right way to think. You know, I'm not saying that you should judge a book by its cover, but if the cover is always flexing the fact that it's the most dangerous person in the room and could literally get rid of everybody with a pencil in their hand, you probably have a reason to be a little bit concerned, you know? Like, hey kid, you're not the Joker. This was the type of kid that would definitely, like, praise the Joker. The Joker is an inspiration to kids like me all across this country. You're like, yeah, that's not a good thing. That just kind of makes you a little bit of a psychopath. Anyways, they're in this group together. So whatever, they meet up for the project, and he shows up with flowers to a group project. And it wasn't just them two in the group, and he hands it to her and he says, "For a group cannot be complete without flowers in the prettiest woman's hands." And the worst part is, there were other girls in the group, bruh. He really went, "Nah, you ain't pretty enough to give flowers to, you hunk of hut. Like, I ain't doing anything with you, okay? This only goes to the pretty girl." So she gave the flowers to her, and she's like, "Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you." You know, like, it's a little bit bizarre to get handed flowers when you're just trying to work on your group project, but hey, apparently that's something that some people do. They're just trying to give flowers out in the group project. And he says that it's a tradition. Like, apparently when group projects first became a thing in history, you were supposed to give flowers to the prettiest girl, which has gotta be a lie, because I just feel like that's so unnecessary, bro. Like, who was sitting there? "You know, it is in fact a British tradition to give flowers to the prettiest girl in your group project." Like, that's just not true, bro. I'm pretty sure Neckbeard Boy was just trying to sound smart. He was like, "Yeah, I'm cultured. I know a lot of traditions." So whatever. The entire time they're working on this group project, he's like uncomfortably hitting on her, right? Like, he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll tell you guys what, this group might be great, but, you know, she's so pretty." Like, just weird stuff. And it's making her a little bit uncomfortable because she's like, "Hey, man, look, I appreciate the compliments. I appreciate you thinking that I'm pretty. I'm trying to get this group project done for our college assignment. So if you could just not keep hitting on me and distracting us from work so we can get this done, that would be great." But whatever, he keeps hitting on her and makes her very uncomfortable, like, the entire night when they're working on the project. So that night is coming to an end, and he's like, "Hey, let me walk you back to your apartment." And she's like, "No, it's really okay. Like, I don't really need an escort. I know how to get home. It's not that dark. Plus, you're really creepy." He's like, "Nonsense. I'm walking my date home." And she's like, "Dude, we're not on a date." And he says, "Yes, we are, you know. Regardless of whether or not it was school assigned, I can feel the vibe that you're super into me. So, like, I know this is a date." And she's like, "Well, the vibe you're getting is wrong because this is not a date, bro." And he's like, "Yes, it is. Like, this is a date." And she's like, "No, it's not." And he keeps arguing with her, "Yes, it is," which, you know, I'm gonna give you guys all this little tip, all you boys out there. If you're on a date with a girl and she says, "It's not a date, I don't like you," you might just want to say that it's not a date because it's less embarrassing to do that than it is to be like, "Oh, no, yeah, we're definitely dating 100%. When, trust me, she's just not that into you, bro. So whatever, he starts to get mad at her because she says, "No, we're not on a date." And he's like, "You stupid women are all the same. I don't know who you think you are. You have the right to turn down a nice guy. Like, I've been nothing but nice to you. I don't understand why you don't want to date me." And she's like, "Well, I mean, yeah, you've tried to be nice. You're coming on a little strong, though. And even then, I don't owe you anything just because you're being nice." He's like, "That's not true. Girls owe it to nice guys to give them a chance because you guys never do normally," which, I mean, bruh, girls don't really owe you anything, okay? I don't care how nice you are to Susie. She does not owe you a date. Like, that's not an actual thing. And so at this point, the girl is fed up with being nice, and she's like, "Look, I don't like you. I don't like you. We're never going to go on a date, so just let it go." And he looks at her and says, "We are going to date. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to make you mine. Like, you are going to date me. You don't have a choice." And she's like, "Wait, what are you talking about? I have a choice. I'm not going to date you. You're creepy. You're weird. Leave me alone. I don't want to date you." And he's like, "No, you're going to be mine. Like, I don't care if I have to stalk you. You're going to be mine." And I think he would thought that was endearing, you know, that she was going to be like, "Oh my God, really? You'd stalk me? You'd risk going to prison for me? That's so sweet." But in reality, it just made her go like, "Wow, this guy is actually a psychopath." Like, no joke, he's an actual psychopath. So whatever, he calls her a bunch of mean names and basically says that she's an idiot for not dating him and she's gonna ruin his life and yada yada yada. This is gonna be the biggest mistake she ever made. Like, usual nice guy stuff. R/you have to date me because I wasn't a jerk to you type beat, you know? And so this is all going on and she's like, whatever. So she gets home without him walking her home and she thinks that's gonna be the end of it, right, bruh? Well, she wakes up the next day and when she goes outside to like start walking to class, the guy is standing there and he walks up to her and says, "I'm sorry about last night. I didn't mean to be so mean. I'm gonna walk you to class." She's like, "No, I don't want you to walk me to class. Like, you're creepy. You threatened to ruin my life because I wouldn't date you yesterday. No, like, I don't want you to walk me to class. I really don't." And he's like, "Well, you know, you owe it to me. Like, I'm a nice guy. You owe me a chance to redeem myself." And she's like, "I don't owe you anything." And keep in mind, this is like outside of a dorm on a college campus, so it's starting to get hustling and bustling out here, right? Like, everything's starting to get a little active. And Neckbeard Goy is getting increasingly agitated, right? At this point, he's like, no, you owe me a chance to date you. And it gets so loud and so obnoxious that people that are walking by walk up and are like, is everything okay here? And he's like, yes, this woman just doesn't know her place, and like, she needs to give me a chance because I've been a nice guy. And obviously, people that are walking up are definitely not giant fans of this guy saying that women owe him for being nice, that like, oh yeah, she owes me because I was nice to her, right? So everybody like breaks them up, and she thinks that's the end of it. He's like, whatever, I'll see you in class. She's like, yeah, no thanks. She gets moved out of the group. She talks to the professor. He's like, yeah, that's a little bit bizarre. And she's like, yeah, this is kind of creepy. Well, apparently he didn't get the memo, because the next day he walks up to her when she's chilling in like the cafeteria area and starts yelling at her, why did you get removed from the group? Like, that was the way we were gonna bond and connect. That was the story we were gonna tell our kids when we got married. Like, you know, call me crazy here, but maybe low-key stalking a girl is not the best way to get them to want to marry you, you know? I'm not an expert, okay? I don't have a wife, but I can tell you right now, the way you get girls to want to marry you is not saying that they have to marry you, otherwise you're going to, like, ruin their grade and stalk them forever. And so at that point, he would basically harass her whenever he saw her, but she started learning his schedule and she would avoid him. She never reported him, which is weird to me. Like, call me crazy here. The second somebody is standing outside where I live threatening to like make my life miserable is when you know, I'm just not down for it. But regardless, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, head over to gfuel.com and use code Scrubby at checkout. Cop yourself from merch that's down below. Follow me on Twitter at Scrubby_69, Instagram at Scrubby. Today's notification shout out goes o.edgymemes. Anyways, guys, hope you guys all have an incredible day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure you're hot. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.